Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
Now, while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Although we do not have universal health care here in the United States, there are still government programs that do assist some qualifying Americans and help provide them health care. For those who are disabled or over the age of 65, the government provides Medicare. 67.7 million Americans are enrolled in Medicare as of October 2024. Over 89% of those enrolled in Medicare are over the age of 65. With a system so large, with so many people enrolled in it, it's easy for things to go unnoticed or for things to fall through the cracks. That's what happened on this week's story. Alexandra Gehrke and Jeffery King banked on Medicare not doing their checks and balances, meanwhile defrauding the government program almost $1 billion. How did they do it? Find out on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Don't you have to be over? Well, I guess most of the time, don't you? Like, it's a requirement to be over 65 to get Medicare, unless you have a specific like disability.
Yeah, that's what I
right?
said. Yeah, you either have to be over the age of 65 or have a like serious disability.
Well, you said like 89% of them are, but I didn't know if the other 11% constitute.
They would be the disabled.
Collectively. Term capital disabled. All right, got it.
What?
What?
They would be disabled people.
I'm not trying to cancel you right now.
You are always trying to cancel me.
I'm not saying anything like that.
On that,
why do you want to be? If there's stuff that you could be canceled for, it's not this.
I was going to say, I have way more cancelable things I've said.
Anyone who's got to episode 175 or whatever this is, they know.
Oh, they know.
If they've listened to the other ones, there's some stuff in there, all right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've said some heinous shit.
This isn't going near a resume of yours anytime soon.
What?
This podcast.
I put it on resumes.
But your like comedy resume or something.
Yeah, right?
Okay, you're not going to show up to like I teach children. Listen to all.
Oh God,
listen to these episodes to get a feel of how I am as a person.
It's nowhere near my education resumes. No.
Exactly.
And on that note, welcome back to another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
I'm Kashan.
And I'm Nina. And this week we are talking about Alexandra Gehrke, whose last name is spelled so strangely, and Jeffery King.
Is it like pickle related? It looks
Wouldn't that be a gherkin?
Well, it looks like gherkin. I don't know. There can be slight, maybe it's a different name for pickle in another language.
Maybe. So, if she had been involved in pickles, maybe she wouldn't find herself in a pickle.
I'm going with, what's her first name?
Alexandra.
I'm calling her Alex Pickles from here on out.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Because she I have free will and I can do what I want.
She actually goes by Lexie, but that's fine.
Okay, Lexie Pickles it is. That's fine by me.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's see what trouble these two got into. So Lexie is actually a native of Arizona.
I'm from there.
A fellow Arizonan right here. Her mother, Joan, was an artist and her father, Robert, was a lawyer. Lexie followed in her mother's footsteps and tried to make it as a portrait artist. She began showing her art in LA in 2005, and in 2008, she opened her own gallery called Pop Block Gallery. Pop Block and drop it is more like it. She was successful, and she opened a second gallery that same year called Bang Gallery.
Now, also, she just loves onomatopoeia for some reason. When you say portrait, like of people, like how noblemen used to get their paintings done to hang over their mantles.
Yes.
If you wanted that done, you'd go to Pop Block Gallery.
Yes.
And hit up Lexie Pickles.
And Lexie Pickles would draw your picture. People would like send her a photograph of somebody and then she would hand draw it.
Man.
Why you need this, I don't know.
It's crazy. It's like they haven't heard of a camera.
They had her in the camera. They took that picture and sent it to her. And then she drew a picture of that picture.
Wow. Seems like some extra steps, you know?
This is for rich people.
Now AI can just do this, right?
can AI take the blood, sweat, and tears of an actual person, the years of study that a person has gone through, and make art? No.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe sometime soon. I don't know. I don't know if they got if OpenAI has got the blood pack working yet. I don't know.
We'll unfortunately find out soon. She was also involved in acting and modeling. She hosted some poker TV shows and also hosted for some extreme sports. She definitely has the look for this. As on the internet, they would call it, she has blonde blindness. Have you heard this term? Oh,
no.
Her hair's like super fucking blonde.
Oh, like a Fox News anchor?
Yes, it's like, it's platinum. And then she has like dark eyebrows. She is an attractive woman. It just is not natural looking. So she's like Fox News's type. Okay. Like huge tits, skinny as can be, blonde hair, dark eyebrows.
Just hosting poker and like downhill mountain boarding tournaments.
Yes,
okay.
That's her.
All right.
Although it seemed as though she was heavily involved in the art scene in LA, she moved back to Arizona in 2012, but continued to do art. Her website, Alexandra's Art, which I'm pretty sure is still running, you could buy hand-drawn portraits from $350 to $750 each. And I think the price might be determined on how ugly you are. If you're, I don't know if you should pay more if you're ugly or less if you're ugly.
I'm tired of this beauty-tocracy that we got going, where ugly people have to pay more for things. It's ridiculous.
Kashawn's feelings are hurt just
it's
because he
ridiculous,
thinks he's ugly.
Man. It's proven. That's why prices are so expensive when I go to the grocery store.
They charge you more?
Yeah, they're like, oh, you want an apple, buddy? That's $5, you fucking shit face. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I can't even say anything. Because if I call the police, I get beat up because I'm ugly.
They're like, come on, little piggy, pay up.
Like, were you there?
I was.
This is so traumatizing.
I told them to do it. She had a YouTube channel. It only has 2 videos on it, but it showcased how to do specific types of art. It seemed kind of cool. Whatever. Like most artists, Alexandra needed another job. Her $350 portraits were not paying the bills. And in 2018, she became a real estate broker with Marcus and Millichap.
Wow, how you described her is definitely also a real estate broker. That's so funny.
Oh, yeah, 100%. This girl had the pipeline of artist to real estate broker just like written all over.
Artist to poker tournament hoster to real estate broker. That classic career
pipeline, you know. In 2019... So I'm not sure what made her switch careers, but in 2019, she co-founded a medical device company called Cull Medical C-U-L-L, Medical Solutions Incorporated with Elizabeth Ory, who was a lawyer.
Cull is a bad name for a medical device company.
Why?
Because cull means to like kill the weak ones, to call the pack. Like that's a terrible name for this.
I actually didn't know that word, so that's...
Yeah, no, that's not... I mean, maybe it's a name or something, but that's the only...
Well, you'll find out.
Okay.
About all that. So Gehrke was the CEO of Cull Medical. Now, Cull Medical was... What?
This is just such a weird, like... I know you said she took a weird path, but I'm like, really, what makes you one day be like, man, I'm tired of selling 3-bed, 2-baths, and I
think I'm going to do this.
Let's get into being the CEO of a medical device company.
I couldn't find what made her switch career paths, but... She did.
All right.
Cull Medical was licensed to do business in Arizona and used 2 addresses. One at an office near Gehrke's house and then another which was someone's home address. However, it was actually incorporated in Delaware, not Arizona, because of using the physical address of DelawareIncorporated.com. Apparently, many companies do this because Delaware has really corporate-friendly taxes and their regulations aren't as strict, and they have a good legal system there to deal with all this.
A lot of big companies are incorporated in Delaware because of that, yeah. And
I also wonder if Ohio has similar laws because there are a lot of companies that are also based in Ohio.
Well, that's the thing. You might even think that it's like their base, they have their headquarters there, but really they're incorporated through Delaware. Like they have one satellite office that's smaller or something in Delaware, and that's just where they're incorporated. So wherever their big headquarters
yeah.
It doesn't have to be. They just have to. I think they just have to have a physical location there, and that's it.
Well, So she's been doing this from about 2019. And in 2021, this is where Jeffrey King enters the picture. King was born in 1975 in Jeffersonville, Indiana. There's not a ton of information on him, but he joined the military as an infantryman, and he was in the military until 2002. After he marched out of the military, he danced his way into the music business. He worked for numerous music stores and studied audio engineering in Arizona and Texas. So Gehrke, it's unclear how Gehrke and King became connected. Honestly, my suspicion is that they met on a dating app, but that is just my pure suspicion. They were involved in an incident in 2021 where he was bitten by her cat and he filed a lawsuit against her. And they're like, we don't know how they met, but he was at her house and he got bit by the cat. And I'm like, sounds like they were on a date and he got bit by the cat.
That's so crazy. Imagine like to sue your date over be like, your cat bit me.
Well, dude, cat bites are for like serious though.
Okay, but I'm assuming his wasn't that serious.
I don't know. My grandma ended up in the hospital over a cat bite one time. It got infected like immediately. She almost lost her hand.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was bad.
All right.
It was her own cat. This cat almost died, right? As a little kitten. And my grandma nursed it back to health with an eyedropper and milk. Okay? And then this cat turned around and bit her.
Almost made her lose her hand. That's just the thing, though. Cats will turn on you.
They will.
There's a thing. If you die, cats will eat your body almost immediately.
Disgusting.
Dogs wait a little bit, but cats will eat you immediately. They do not care for you. They are tiny lions that we have locked in our houses with us.
That's why I don't like cats, man.
No, I still love a cat.
You can love them all day long, and you'll get your eyeballs eaten out by one, and I will just decay normally.
That's fine.
So apparently this cat had recently had a procedure and it was agitated, and Gehrke didn't warn King about the cat and it attacked him. He allegedly got really sick from the cat, went into sepsis, according to the court documents. He also allegedly had permanent scarring and disfigurement. And I don't know, there were a bunch of silly things in this lawsuit, but and honestly, we're not really sure where it went, but I just thought it was funny and I was going to add it. It was funny.
Wow. Permanent scarring and disfigurement. He's like, you see this small scratch in my hands?
You want to know how I got these scars?
It was a cat bite.
It was a cat bite.
That's the end of the story, so it's not that cool. But
well, this was not the end of Jeffrey King and Alexandra Gehrke's story. The lawsuit was filed in April 2021, but the two announced that they were dating in September of 2021.
Oh, what a meet cute, you know? Boy meets girl, girl's cat bites boy, boy almost dies, and then they fall in love after a lawsuit.
So in December 2021, Gehrke started another medical device distribution company called Apex. She was the sole owner of this, and this company was also shared with an address with Cole Medicine. So King started working for Gehrke as a sales rep. And in July 2022, Gehrke started a third company called Apex Mobile Medical LLC. And this was also registered to all the addresses of all the other companies. So Gehrke was co-owner of the company with Keith Allen Goss, a Phoenix-based doctor. Gehrke acted as the CEO of the company and was in charge of all the company's operations. So this is when Gehrke and King started their sinister plan. And they also got engaged in 2022.
Aw, how cute.
Yes. So in February 2023, King started his own company called APX, not Apex, APX Mobile Medical LLC.
Oh, wow. So they dropped literally one letter.
Yes. And this was also co-owned by Keith Goss. And a few months later, Goss submitted paperwork to the state to release King from company ownership, although it's unclear of why he did it. But we'll see how the story unfolds. And I think he knew that something sketchy was going on. And he was like, no, I'm not doing business with you. You got to go. Because a lot of sketchy stuff happens.
Oh, surprise. They're on the episode. I was wondering when it's coming.
Yeah, true. And since King got let go, Gehrke starts yet another medical company, another company called Viking Medical Consultants LLC. And this, again, she did not share this with anybody. This one she was also solely in charge of.
At least the name's different.
At least the name is different.
So I'll at least give them that.
So there's a lot of companies that Gehrke and King are working with and operating. Really, Gehrke's the one operating them. King is like her little henchman. I don't know how they could keep it all straight because I can barely keep it all straight just reading about it and listening to it. But three of these companies, the Apex Mobile, and APX, they were all medical device distributors. And for clarity, medical device distributors, they are an enterprise or an individual that it's their job to make connections between their company and medical equipment brands so that they can bridge the gap between medical equipment brands and then where the equipment is being sold to. So this could be to a hospital, to a doctor's office, etc.
Yeah, these are the people that like go around, and they do this for like prescription medicines too. They have someone that goes around and has like a product catalog and goes to doctors and says like, hey, here's this device. Here's what it does. Here's why it's better than the others. And usually gives them incentives to buy it. Like if you get it, if you give this, we'll give you X amount of perks.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen The Pursuit of Happiness, but this reminds me of The Pursuit of Happiness where Will Smith, like Kashawn was just saying, goes around. He has like this machine that he's trying to sell a bunch of these machines, and they're actually not very good and they're outdated, but he's going around, he's trying to sell the machines to doctors' offices and stuff, and he's failing. But yeah, so now it's not necessarily an individual doing this. It's more of like a company so that people don't get screwed in the way that Will Smith got screwed in that movie. I don't remember the guy's actual name. But so Gehrke and King would buy devices from third-party manufacturers, and they would get medical professionals to use the devices on patients. And then they would bill the insurance companies for the devices. So one of these insurance providers included Medicare. If you are not in the United States or you're not really sure what Medicare is, it's a health insurance program for the elderly or permanently disabled, like I said in the intro. One of the devices that was used in the fraud that we're going to be talking about was amniotic allograft. And this is a synthetic skin graft that is made from human placenta tissue. Have you ever worked with this?
With an amniotic allograft?
I don't know. You do biology.
Yeah, I do microbiology, dude.
Okay.
I mean, so here's the thing. Like, I mean, I get what this is, but
Yeah.
no, I don't work in the medical field at all.
I didn't know if maybe one time you came in contact with it.
No.
Okay. Well, anyways, so these are meant to be used for severe wounds. So how it's worked is it's like this little tiny piece of tissue. It's not very big, and it's placed over the wound. And then after several weeks or months, it will help the wound heal faster than it would if the graft wasn't there.
It's got the power of a little baby inside of it. That's why.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So abort your babies so we can have more. I'm kidding.
Hey, remember that thing I said about like there's things that we could cancel you?
Yeah, that would be one of them. This is it.
There's being pro-choice, and then there's being real pro-abortion.
These skin grafts also will help with scarring. So the scarring won't be as severe if you use one of these. Now, these are extremely expensive. Thank you, United States Healthcare. They cost about $1,000 per square centimeter.
Baby sack don't come cheap, dude.
Can you donate your placenta?
I don't know. I mean, obviously they got to do something with it afterwards.
Well, some people eat it.
Not anymore. Well, I guess probably some
That's
people.
not true. They get it put in those little pills, and then people take it.
That's gross.
It's like super good for you.
No, I feel like that has to be a lie. That's so
That's what
gross.
they say.
That's so gross. People say seed oils are bad for you. It makes no sense. It's just random bullshit. You know, I've assumed that that's what that is too.
It's a little cannibalistic.
A little.
Yeah. So if it's $1,000 per square centimeter, I don't know, a centimeter is not very big. Imagine how much this would cost if it was a big old wound. It's a lot of money.
At least multiple thousands of dollars.
It could go into the hundreds.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, depending on how bad it is. So Gehrke and King, they would get a company they worked with to buy the allografts at inflated prices, and then they would bill Medicare for them. Then the company, so it wasn't named in the indictment. This company was not named in the indictment, I think because there's a active investigation going on against them. But this company that they would work for would then give Gehrke and King kickbacks in the form of rebates on the purchase price. And they would send this via wire transfer, and it would land directly into Gehrke and King's bank accounts. So they would charge Medicare the full purchase price, and then they would receive a kickback from the manufacturer. King and Gehrke also hired sales representatives without any medical training with Gehrke's companies Apex and Viking. They would tell the representatives to go to facilities with high numbers of elderly people who are patients there. So they would tend to go to nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and hospice facilities because obviously older people get hurt more. Yeah. They get sicker easier. I mean, they fall down, their skin's so thin, it just rips.
I mean, you got to know your target audience, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I will say that if they weren't doing fraud, if they were doing everything legitimately, I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just unfortunately how the medical system works, which is, I mean, there's a bunch of inherent flaws in it, but if you can't say this is any more evil than what a lot of other companies would do, like preying on the elderly and the sick, and that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is how it works.
So
Gehrke was quoted saying in a meeting that going to hospice cares, the nursing homes, etc., it's quote where the most money is at, and she's not wrong.
No, they're right.
She's not wrong.
That's the problem, but they're right.
Yeah. The representatives would go in looking for wounds on the patient's bodies, no matter how small. They would collect the patient's insurance information, and then the representative would pressure the nurse practitioners into ordering the skin allografts from Gehrke and King's companies. They would not consult doctors or look at patients' medical records when doing this. So they would just be like, you need to get these things, blah, 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 blah. I mean,
Margaret in room 2 as a paper cut. Let's get
a skin allograft on that.
Yeah, let's slap some placenta on that thing, huh?
I mean, make her a new woman. Sales reps were instructed to order the largest and most expensive grafts, even if the wound didn't require it. Gehrke would tell reps to order the allografts in large amounts, even if the wound was, quote, as small as my little fingernail.
Like, yeah, you'll need 100 square centimeters for that.
And mine is so much smaller than yours. My little fingernail is like 3. Kashan's is like 3 of mine.
Yeah.
You got a white ass fingernail.
Okay, maybe you have a small fingernail. Why is mine got to be weird and big?
I do have a small fingernail.
Okay.
Sales reps were instructed to not purchase grafts smaller than 4 by 6 inches. Can you do the math on that?
It's 24 square inches.
So then how many centimeters would that be?
I don't know. There's about like 0.6 centimeters or something. Let's just say half a centimeter for ease. So it's 8 by 12, which is going to be 96 square centimeters, roughly.
So that's $96,000 for that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. More money than I have. The more grafts that were being applied to patients, the more money Gehrke and King would make off of Medicare. Obviously. And patients didn't need these grafts for a variety of reasons. It wouldn't even just be that the wound was too small. One reason that these grafts would not work would be that the wound was infected and then it wouldn't respond to the graft. Some patients already had received grafts and they didn't need another one. And the wounds were old and they had already kind of healed. And then also some patients were terminally ill and it was pointless to give them the graft because come on, they're going to die. They don't need the graft, but they would get it for them anyway. And it was noted that some patients were dying days or hours after receiving the grafts, which is really gross to think about.
Yeah, like I already got to die. Now I got to die with placenta slapped on me.
Yeah.
Woof. No, thanks.
It's also not only is this like egregious for the reasons like of making money off of the sick and the elderly, but this is also egregious because you're wasting so much product.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the demand is for this.
Yeah, I don't know what the demand. I mean, honestly,
I don't know how much placenta is coming in the door to know how much needs to go out the door before people who really need it aren't getting it, you know?
But it's like the issue that we've had earlier this year with Ozempic, where like people who legitimately needed Ozempic, people who have diabetes, who legitimately need this medication, cannot get it because it's become a weight loss trend.
Yeah.
So
Kelly Clarkson needed to lose the weight, Nina.
well, did you see her ass?
All right.
It's really disgusting that King and Gehrke would exploit the dying in this way. Like I said, it was their last hours on Earth, and they were being applied with a graft that would not help them. It was only being used to make Gehrke and King richer. And some reps were making so much money off of this. Some reps were making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month on the grafts. Nurse practitioners were also hired by Viking, that company of one of the many companies Gehrke owned, and they would hire the nurse practitioners, and they were sent out to place the grafts on patients that they had, ordered them for. Each graft that the nurse practitioners would place earned them between $500 to $1,000. So that's a good side hustle. Gehrke and King ended up charging Medicare $900 million on 500 patients. Now, Medicare wasn't the only company that Gehrke and King scammed. They also ripped off commercial insurance plans as well as Champ VA. Champ VA is the civilian health and medical program of the Department of Veteran Affairs. So that's for people who were either veterans of the military or family members of veterans, mostly spouses and children, as well as TRICARE, which is the federal insurance program for the Department of Defense.
Yeah, and it's just because, all the private companies, the private insurance companies, this is also why they get a bad rap for denying everything that you send them, is because they're really overly protective about it. All of the government, insurance companies, have the opposite problem.
Yeah, where they're accepting everything.
They don't have enough oversight. They're not given enough powers to be able to say, you're bending us over a barrel. So they're ripe for exploitation. That's why it was good when Medicare was finally able to negotiate drug prices. But talking to someone I know who's a consultant in the field recently, there's a limit on that. I didn't know that. They can only negotiate 7 to 9 drugs or something a year for the prices. It's not like all of them. They get to negotiate 7. So it's functionally not that big of a difference, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. That sucks. So what would cause Gehrke and King to even do this? Honestly, it was just greed. It was just greed. That's all it was. With the money they were able to steal from these health insurance providers, they financed a luxurious lifestyle. That included multiple luxury vehicles, including a $300,000 Ferrari, a $230,000 Mercedes-Benz. These were purchased specifically by Gehrke herself. King purchased a $640,000 home, which I think you can speak to this. That's a pretty big home in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. There are more expensive areas everywhere, but yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, it's more than what $640,000 in Chicago would get you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a sizable home.
Yeah.
The couple jointly paid for a $5.8 million home, and inside that home, there was over $500,000 in gold bars, gold coins, and jewelry.
They were a king and queen with
yes.
with a riches room filled with chests of gold. What
yes.
the hell?
Yes.
Okay.
They were very extravagant.
It sounds
and
like
if you saw them, they just look like a ripoff version of Tomi Lahren. You know who that is?
Yeah, I said Fox News anchor, so absolutely.
She looked like Tomi Lahren. He looks like Walmart Pitbull.
Is he bald?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, this isn't super. They lived extravagantly. They lived very, very much so without above their means. Well, I guess it wasn't above their means because they were stealing money. But in May 2024, King opened his own recording studio called Scottsdale Music Company.
I knew they were going to be in Scottsdale.
Yep, which had a bunch of super expensive equipment, and it had multiple employees. Now, they decided to take their relationship to the next level, and in February of 2024, this year, the couple had an elaborate wedding at the Wrigley Mansion in Phoenix, Arizona. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful mansion. I mean, it's a mansion. Guests ate filet mignon and Chilean sea bass and had butler passed hors d'oeuvres at the wedding. Even though I kind of wish I was there because it would have been a very nice experience, even though They were eating on Medicare's dime.
I think I would, no matter what, I think I would feel uncomfortable around a butler.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I'd be like, it's like a bathroom attendant, you know? You go in there and you're
so awkward.
and you're like, I don't know, this is like a weird amount of service now where I think I'm awkward that you're here doing this stuff for me.
Yeah.
And I want to avoid you as much as possible. Like
100%.
Like that one guy who said, enjoy the game, big man. And I was like, oh God.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that to me. And I was like, why are you in the bathroom, man?
That's so awkward.
I don't want to talk to anyone right now.
I'm just like, I can put the soap in my hands myself. I can like get my own paper towels. Now I feel like I have to tip you.
Yeah.
Like it's awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been to a wedding where somebody had people passing out hors d'oeuvres on a platter.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that rich of friends.
I don't know anybody rich. So they also had a lot of unnecessary stuff on their wedding registry, which included a $3,200 Dolce & Gabbana blanket and a $140 Tom Ford candle. You should not ever spend that much money on a candle. They sell great candles. Just saying.
My mom had a $1,200 set of candles.
What?
I don't know. They were specially made and they looked like they were from a special like handcrafted candle store that they looked like coyotes and saguaro cactuses. She loved those things, but it was, I know, Mom, I'm sorry you listen to the episodes, but yeah, those were stupid.
There's just so many better things to spend $1,200 on.
You are very correct.
She actually paid for them? Or they weren't gifted to her?
No, she went. There's a specialty candle store in Prescott, Arizona that is still there, so they do enough business.
That is insane.
Because they charge hundreds of dollars for candles. That if you go, you can get candles shaped to whatever stupid Arizona themed thing you want.
Wow. They also had a little butterfly statue that was like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on their wedding registry. It was crazy.
Oh my God, it's like Dennis Kozlowski and his stupid dog umbrella holder that costs like tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it was all fun and games until June 18th, 2024, when Gehrke and King were arrested at the Phoenix, Arizona airport. They were going to go to London for their honeymoon.
Not at Sky Harbor.
Yes, at Sky Harbor. In their luggage, police found a book called Criminal Law Handbook. Your Rights Survive the System. And at home, investigators found a book called How to Disappear, Erase Your Digital Footprint, Leave False Trails, Vanish Without a Trace.
That's a long book title, man.
I know. It's super weird.
Brevity,
super
dude.
Weird.
All right.
So they billed Medicare for $900,000. $900 million. What they took home from that as a couple was $330 million.
That's more than a third. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was an extreme amount of money. They're currently being charged with conspiracy, healthcare fraud, receiving kickbacks, and money laundering. All of their possessions have been seized, along with $52 million from 13 different bank accounts. One of the reasons that they got caught, I mean, you know, this was a lot of money that they stole and all of that. But one of the reasons that they got caught was they were super sloppy with this. Like I was saying earlier, like stuff was getting deposited directly into their bank accounts. They weren't really hiding anything really well. So, and they were also moving extremely large amounts of money. So it like flagged it immediately. Like they were moving like $3 million at a time, which like that is going to get flagged.
I mean, I wonder if there's just any chance that honestly stuff like this is so routine that I feel like this goes on all the time without people getting caught. So it feels like it's just an open secret. Maybe they thought that they just wouldn't be like big enough fish to fry.
Yeah. Yeah,
Who
maybe.
knows?
Maybe. They weren't the only ones that got caught. One other person that got in trouble with this was Bethany Jamison. She was a nurse practitioner that worked for Gehrke and King. She's also been arrested with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and she made $230,000 in bribes. There was another nurse practitioner that made $220,000 in bribes. People were making a lot of money doing this. A lot of money doing this. And at that point, when people are doing stuff like that, like, you know what you're doing is wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, you just do. The fraud lasted from 2022 to 2024. So it was about a year and a half that they scammed Medicare out of that $900 million. So that's actually crazy that in a year and a half, they took almost $1 billion.
That's how much money is in the medical field.
That's
crazy.
what's crazy. And then it's like, then why are we... I mean, it's just gross. The entire medical system is just so gross in this country that they can steal that much money, and then like I'm strapped with an ER bill and can like barely afford, like, you know what I mean? I can barely afford the monthly payment on this ER bill. There's so many people that have gone into bankruptcy in this country because of medical expenses. And then you've got people like this who are just scamming these systems, making hand over foot. It's just disgusting. It's just absolutely disgusting.
Hand over fist.
Oh. Whatever. Keep it in there. I don't care. I don't know. I think we've said this a million times. We're beating a dead horse. I mean, the whole country has been saying this, but we seriously need a revision of our medical system.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, it's going... One of these days, we need a revision to almost every system in this country, but like... We cannot sustain this. This kind of stuff cannot be sustained. And it's gross when people like this take advantage of the system that like turns around and hurts the average person. I mean, you're raking in $900 million, and I know how many people that have had GoFundMes because they have cancer and they can't pay for their chemotherapy.
Yep.
Like, it's disgusting.
It's broken. We've been shouting it for years, and
they're not listening.
Nope. They hardly ever do.
They won't listen to me.
Unfortunately.
Imagine that your loved one is lying in a bed, dying, getting unnecessary medical treatments only to make others richer. That was the harsh reality of many patients that were provided grafts at the hands of Alexandra Gehrke and Jeffery King. The insane greed of this couple overtook their lives and the lives of many patients. Providing medical treatments for patients who do not need them only to obtain wealth and take advantage of a shitty medical system is the epitome of greed. Time will tell what the sentencing of the couple will be. We will update you as soon as we find out. And that's this week's episode. It's a gross one.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard so many of these Medicaid fraud stories, and they're all shitty, but
this one was almost $1 billion, and that's what's just like crazy. That is so much money.
I mean, that's the thing. Everything is falsely inflated in the medical field, so these things add up really fast. Yeah,
we've allowed it to get to this point where it's just like absolutely uncontrollable. Mm-hmm. Like
Just remember though, Medicaid is only a very small fraction of what our government spends on. So there's
Medicare and Medicaid don't.
There's a bunch of money being bled out to even worse things. But obviously this is still bad and worse because it deals with people who are at their most vulnerable, which is always the issue. Is that when capitalism meets a very it's a captive market, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like people can't really go other places and do other things because their literal lives are on the line. So it definitely gets a little more shifty here.
Yeah, and obviously I'm fine with the government putting their money into Medicare and Medicaid and people getting like healthcare that they need.
But we should have more oversight over it for sure.
We 100% should have more oversight, and it's not fair. It's not fair for and then also it's people like, yes, the government provides you like you're in this program when you're 65 and over or permanently disabled, but you still have to pay for it. My grandma still has to pay for her Medicare. And she got like hella screwed over because of various different reasons. But, people are still paying for this. And like, it's not cheap. It's still not cheap. Even though the government, like you're in this government program, it's still not cheap. It's just gross. It's just gross that they took advantage of this. I know I'm repeating myself, but it fires me up as someone who has a lot of medical debt. So if you liked our episode and liked what you heard, you can get more where this came from. I can't talk.
There's more where that came from, big boy.
You can find us on Facebook.com/WhiteCollarsRedHands. You can find us on Twitter or X at WhiteCollarsPod. You can find us on Instagram at WhiteCollars_RedHands. You can find us on TikTok at WhiteCollarsRedHands. You can also find us on YouTube at WhiteCollarsRedHands. If you don't want another way to support us that's free, you can do so by leaving a review. Most of you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Both of those allow you to leave a review. We love a 5-star review, but if we also we'll take an honest one as well.
No, only a 5-star. Thank you very much.
Okay, just, you know what, for the holiday season, can you just give us a 5-star review?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I want a gift of validation.
I would love the gift of validation. I would love that. Another free way that you can support us is by telling a friend. It's the holiday season. People are going to be traveling. They need something to listen to. Tell them to listen to White Collars, Red Hands. An unfree way to support us, again, talking about the holiday season. We do have merch. If you go over to TeePublic, or actually go to our website, whitecollarsredhands.com. Click on the merch tab. It'll take you to TeePublic. And you can buy a bunch of different stuff with our logos on it. And finally, if you hear of a white collar crime story that you think we should cover, please send it our way. You can either DM us on our socials or email us at whitecollarsredhands@gmail.com. We try to do a fan submitted episode every season, and we would love to do yours.
Yeah, we just did ours for this season last week.
Yeah,
so.
about the Cincinnati Zoo. Thanks, Steve.
And we're this was episode 7.
Yeah, I can't believe we're on
it's episode 7 of this season. So if you submit them now, it'd be a perfect time.
It'll be
to
a
get
perfect
them in before season 18.
Yes, and I think that's it. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on another episode of White Collars,
Red Hands.